What's up, guys? It's me, the ALE Double X Prince, and I'm here back with the Heroes of SummerSlam. Yes, it's gonna be a start. I did it for the Heroes of WrestleMania. I decided to do the Heroes of SummerSlam, continuing the whole tradition that I've done. I mean, I enjoyed Double X Mania with the whole having Heroes of WrestleMania, rebooking WrestleManias. I did the same thing with SummerSlam. I rebooked 5 SummerSlams. I reviewed 5 SummerSlams, and now I'm going to do the Heroes of SummerSlam. This one was a little bit harder than I thought, just because you can't really find the full score for certain matches. Certain matches I have to like Google and see if you have to get everybody, and I had to find the proper guys who deserve to be on the list of the Heroes of SummerSlam. Granted, I got 10 guys just like back then, so I decided, you know what, let's do it. Let's kick it off. We start off with the guy who is considered to be Mr. SummerSlam, Bret the Hitman Hart. Yes, Bret Hart has had many classics in SummerSlam, and he has a pretty good record. He has a total of 11 matches, 7 wins, and 4 losses. And we're going to go through all of these matches right now as we speak. We kick off in 1988. Yes, the very first SummerSlam, I believe. Yes, and he takes on Demolition for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Now, granted, the Hart Foundation lose, but they have a pretty solid match to say the least. They have a much better match that we'll get to later. So there's that. This match I thought was pretty good again. One of the better matches of freaking SummerSlam 1988. It was a pretty good match to say the least. I really enjoyed this match. Then we kick off to 1989, and they take on the Brainbusters. Yes, I love the Brainbusters. They're one of my favorite tag teams. They fight the Hart Foundation, and they had a really, really good match. I really enjoyed the back and forth. Pretty old school wrestling. This is my favorite kind of tag team matches. You know, a lot of people like the TLC matches, which I adore to death. I love the TLC matches with Dudley's, Hardy's, Edge, and Christian, but I like also this kind of tag team wrestling. This is the kind of tag team wrestling that we need. We're kind of getting that with the whole Revival, DIY, and American Alpha when they were running NXT. But hopefully they build them up better, because those guys are talented, and they got a huge inspiration out of this match. I mean, Brainbusters are considered to be inspiration of the Revival. So I'm really glad that I saw this match again, because I really realized how much better this match was the second time viewing it. Especially since freaking, what was I gonna say? The rest of the show sucked. 1989 was a shit year. We were still in that whole Hulk Hogan era, which was garbage. But it was starting to lead to the Hart family starting to get more respect, because in 1990 the Heat returns with a Hart Foundation and Demolition for the WWF Tag Team Championship, this time in a 2 out of 3 falls match. This match was incredible. Honestly, one of my favorite 2 out of 3 falls match. They really played it off good. And to top it off, it wasn't even the original Demolition members. They had a guy named Crush fighting in the match. I believe it was him and maybe it was I forgot if it was Axe or Smash, but they took on Crush was in the match, and this was a fantastic match. I really enjoyed the match. I'm not a big fan of Crush. I really wish they'd just stick with Axe and Smash, but Crush did a fine job. Honestly, the only good thing about Demolition Crush was this. But damn, the Hart Foundation just blew it out of the park. They finally get the tag belts. I don't remember if this is the first time winning the tag belts, but honestly, if it was, then damn, this really showed that these guys are too perfect to be a great tag team, and honestly, one of the best tag teams of all time. And speaking of perfect, 1991, he takes on Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, from what I've heard about this match, I heard that Mr. Perfect was injured. He had a back injury, and he still worked the match with Bret the Hitman Hart, and they blew it out of the park. This showed that Bret the Hitman Hart is qualified to be a main event player. He fought Mr. Perfect. They had a fantastic match, just back and forth. And they didn't even show injury. Mr. Perfect really showed that he is in fact perfect, no pun intended. But the reversals, the moves, you know, I like matches where you don't need big spots all the time. Sometimes you just need little spots to build up to the big spots, and this is one of them. Now, they had a much better match at 1993's King of the Ring, but this one was still really good. Honestly, these two matches are fantastic. This one was really good, one of the best in SummerSlam history, but not quite the best. If I had to pick my personal favorite SummerSlam match, will have to be in 1992, Bret the Hitman Hart versus the British Bulldog. This match was incredible. Another one of those scenarios where Davey Boy Smith wasn't 100%, but he knocked it out of the park. Now, you know, Vince McMahon didn't want to see the original main event, from what I've seen, was going to be Ultimate Warrior versus the Macho Man, but he did not want to see the show end in a countout. So they did not want to end the show in a countout. So, you know, Vince was like, crap, I don't want to do that. But then I guess Bret Hart talked to Vince McMahon. He like put us on last, and trust me, we won't let you down. And sure enough, they did not let us down. British Bulldog and Bret the Hitman Hart just tore out the house. And the best part about it, it took place in the UK, and it basically just showed greatness. And this is possibly one of the greatest matches of all time. It's in my top 10. If you guys remember, I did a list of my 10 favorite matches of all time, and this was like around there. So spoiler alert for whatever my favorite SummerSlam match is, because this match was just that damn incredible. The story, the build, the hype, it was just really good build. I mean, Bret Hart is going to be considered as one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. This was just that damn good. And he put over British Bulldog clean. It was really good. I like the finish of the whole kind of a roll-up finish where Bret Hart tries to reach for like some sort of roll-up, but Davey Boy Smith just sat down and this 1, 2, 3, it was it. And I really enjoyed the match. It was that damn great. And to say the least, I heard British Bulldog again wasn't 100%, and the fact that they still pulled off a match that people will still talk about to this day is just saying a lot from these two talents. 1993 was a shit year. Honestly, 1993 was one of the worst SummerSlams I've ever seen. Honestly, maybe even the worst. And Bret the Hitman Hart tried. He was originally going to take on the King, Lawler. Instead, they sent Doink the Clown to fight Bret Hart. And Bret Hart tried, but you could tell he wasn't happy with this. He just kind of tried his best to pull off the best match he could out of Doink the Clown. And then Jerry Lawler said, you know what, screw it, I'll enter in the match. And he wins by disqualification because Bret just beats the shit out of him. You know, just shenanigans. You could tell there was shenanigans. So 1993 was kind of a letdown for Bret the Hitman Hart. But 1994, yes, this was a great one. I'm even shocked that Bret the Hitman Hart didn't main event the show with Owen Hart. Think about it. This would have been great in 1994. Bret Hart and Owen Hart open WrestleMania 10, and then the next big show is SummerSlam, where they close the show adding in a steel cage match. Because honestly, 1994 SummerSlam, we had only like 3 passable matches. Alundra Blaze versus Bull Nakano for the Women's Championship, Razor Ramon and Diesel. And of course, Bret the Hitman Hart and Owen Hart, another 5-star classic in my opinion. This was a different type of steel cage match than you usually get. Usually in steel cage matches, you see them throwing each other through the cage, beating the crap out of each other. This one, it was about who gets out first more. Who gets out first and who will do whatever they can to get out. And I like how they played off this steel cage, because back then the steel cage was like a big like square that you could easily go through, kind of like the Punjabi prison recently. And I remember Owen Hart was trying to get out through there, but then he got stuck, and then Bret Hart just kind of jumps out and he wins and retains the WWE Championship, or WWF Championship, my bad. And honestly, I feel bad for Owen Hart. He could have been WWF champion, maybe. I don't know. They could have done so much. Rest in peace to the guy. He was a great talent, and he worked his ass off. And I like the story that they played off here, how he was always looked down because of Bret the Hitman Hart, how he became the top guy, but he wanted to be one of those guys. So, I like the story there. And the only problem with this match is that it didn't main event, because this feud and match was great. Not as great as the WrestleMania 10 match. I personally thought that one was my favorite, simply for the fact that Owen beat Bret the Hitman Hart clean or by roll up or whatever, but it was still that match was still a million times better than this one. This one was still a 5-star classic that I will still go back and watch, because you don't get matches like this. You don't work. I like matches where you slow the pace and then you work your way up. I like those kind of matches. I'm tired of finisher 1-2 kick out, finisher 1-2 kick out. I'm not a big fan of that. And back then they knew how to work that pace. 1995, where the hell was Bret the Hitman Hart in 1995? Oh, I'll tell you, he was facing Kane, or should I say Issac Yakem, in this match, and Bret Hart wins by DQ. Honestly, I don't want to say anything except Bret tried. Honestly, Bret the Hitman Hart, whenever he had a shit match to deal with, he at least tried his best to get the best out of it. So, I'll give him that. 1996, he wasn't there. I believe he was in an injury or something. Yeah, so he wasn't in 1996. However, he was in 1997 in the main event of SummerSlam, properly where he belongs. Bret the Hitman Hart versus The Undertaker, with special guest referee Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship. Ooh, that was a handful of words to say. Holy shit, this was a good match. I really, really, really enjoyed this match. I thought that these guys brought in the best that they could. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels had a feud, but The Undertaker, being this unbeatable champion, done a great job building him. Basically, all three had a story to give to this match, and I like the way this match was going. So if Shawn Michaels hit Bret the Hitman Hart, then I guess he was either suspended or Bret becomes a champion right away. I forgot the rules about that. Hold up, I got a phone call. Sorry about that. That was a phone call. We kick off again. Bret the Hitman Hart, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels referee. I kind of lost my sidetrack of what was I talking about, but last I recall, Shawn Michaels was getting mad at Bret Hart because Shawn Michaels was trying to screw over Bret Hart, but at the same time not completely lose it to the point that he gets released or banned. So I like the story that they played there. I really like the storytelling like that. But Shawn Michaels about to hit Bret Hart with the chair. He misses, hits the Undertaker. Bret rolls him up. Shawn Michaels 1, 2, 3, and that led to Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and their big Montreal Screwjob finish. That led to Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker in the first ever Hell in a Cell match with the debuting Kane. And, that was a bad Kane, Paul Bearer saying. But, basically this match slowly led to good things, except for Bret the Hitman Hart. Sadly, the winner of the match ended up getting screwed out of this whole match, which I kind of feel bad for nowadays. But this was still, like I said, a classic that you should definitely go back and watch. It's one of the best SummerSlam matches out there and definitely a classic. Now, you're probably thinking, we're done with talking about Bret the Hitman Hart, right? Oh, boy. Yeah, he comes back for 2010 after getting a stroke out of Goldberg, getting injured. He's nearly done wrestling. And what do you have him do? You have him come back to team up with John Cena, Chris Jericho, Edge, John Morrison, R-Truth, and Daniel Bryan. 6 good names, to say the least, besides R-Truth, of course. And he teams up with all 6 of them to take on the Nexus. Yes. Bret didn't do shit in this match, really, and rightfully so. He really didn't need to do anything. All he did is hit Heath Slater with a chair. Got disqualified and eliminated, so there is that it for Bret Hart. Other than that, but then eventually this whole Nexus Team WWE match was just bullshit. I never liked the match. It was just basically elimination. That's the problem when you have too many guys in one match. That's why they should have gotten rid of at least 2 Nexus members. Maybe do it a 5-on-5 Survivor Series style way. Maybe that way could have worked a little bit easier. But, you know, they could have done little things just to help it out. So, anyways, that will be it for the Heroes of SummerSlam of Bret the Hitman Hart. He has, again, a total of 11 matches, a record of 7 wins, 4 losses. If I had to pick my favorite match, damn, Bret Hart had a lot of classic matches, to say the least. And if I had to pick my favorite, obviously it's going to have to go to Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith for the Intercontinental Championship in 1992. A close catcher was Perfect and Hart, and Owen and Hart from both 1992 and 1991 and 1994. His Hart Foundation matches were great, especially the ones with Demolition involved. The Brainbusters one was great. I really enjoyed that one. As far as his worst match, easily it's gonna have to go to the one with the King Lawler, because that was just a bullshit finish. Even though, you know, he tried with Doink the Clown and Issac Yakem, or Kane to say the least, but, you know, and of course I hated the whole Nexus angle, so I care less about that. So that'll be it for the Heroes of SummerSlam as far as Bret the Hitman Hart go. 9 more guys to go, and the next guy is a guy who has sold a lot of tickets simply for showing up to most of his shows, even though he's not as around as we like him as much now. But he is, in fact, the Beast incarnate himself. So stay tuned for that. It's me, the ALE XX Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And until then, I'm out.